Greetings all, this is Hairy Nick. How is everyone going? We have all of the new points and rules reference for X-Wing Epic in 2nd edition. First of all, I want to give a quick couple of shout-outs. First of all, to FFG for getting this all out, well before the release. This is something that they have struggled with a few waves. Really cool to see it all here and all on the same document. They didn't put like the Rebel upgrades on the Rebel document. All of the Epic stuff is just nice and neat by itself. That's really good for us players. Also, you might notice on the screen here in front of you, I have yet another squad builder open. And the reason for that is the people that have maintained this have already got all of the relevant Epic points and information about that into their system so we can start building Epic lists. There is a reason I keep harping on about this squad builder. It is really awesome in terms of a tool for the community. In terms of being a tool for us content creators, it's just so good for me when I'm talking to you guys and I can just, oh, hey, look, I can look at this, I can compare different upgrades, that kind of stuff. Yes, I know every time I bring it up, everyone always says, oh, what about Hangar Bay? What about this? What about that? Nothing compares to this in terms of just raw usability, and there's a reason I keep bringing it up, and I'm going to use it here because currently the Epic upgrades and ships are not added in to the official squad builder, and I just want to wag my finger a little bit at FFG for that because that's the best way for us to look up the images of cards and that kind of stuff. So it sucks for content creators like me who have to go like back to articles and find them all individually and organize them ourselves. It's kind of annoying having to do that. So for the purposes of analysing all of these points and everything, we're going to have yet another squad builder open so I can easily access those. That's the reason we have it here on the screen in front of us. And before we dive into these, yes, I don't really have much of an authority to talk on this kind of stuff because we don't really have any competitive Epic play in general, even from 1st edition, but also things are quite different now, not just in the rules, but also the design of these Epic ships. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. As we get some sort of competitive results on Epic, hopefully it gets proper competitive support anyway, we'll know a bit more about this, and when we come to the points change on Epic, we'll have a much better idea. For the time being, we're just going to analyze things, have a look at the outliers like the really expensive cards, try to analyze what FFG are doing in terms of hemorrhaging power on certain things or what they're trying to push, and hopefully we'll get a bit of a picture of what this game's going to look like. First of all, we have all the information here for all of the ships. Our big boys like our Corvette and our Raider are all around the 150 mark, and the rest are all around the 60 point mark, which is pretty much in keeping with what we understand. Now, the big difference between these ships from 1st to 2nd edition is now every one of these have a primary weapon, and as we've had confirmed in this article, they also all have a hard point. In the case of the Corvette and Raider, there are 2 hard points, so they have a lot of weaponry on those as well. Apart from that, all of these ships have at least 1 crew, 1 team, 1 cargo, and we see here the title for each of these ships on their original faction and not the newer factions that they've been adapted to. And I think, once again, I'm going to reiterate this, I really think what FFG are trying to do here is kind of give a band-aid patch so every faction has a chance of playing Epic for the time being with Epic ships. But this, again, is probably indicative that, yes, these ships are probably not going to get titles on their extra faction. For example, the Corvette on the Republic, I don't think that's going to get, like, a Republic expansion. I think they're just going to release, for example, a Republic Epic ship at some point, and that will have its own titles and unique upgrades and that kind of stuff. For the time being, yeah, they're pretty much all the same. Each one of these ships have all the same upgrades, but titles on their original version. Apart from the Icy Rock Cruiser, this is actually quite interesting. On the Scum faction, it has a cargo and an illicit, which is what we came to expect. But we also have tactical relay on the Separatists, which makes this quite an interesting option, especially with upgrades like Kraken that allow you to retain your calculate tokens. That's really, really cool, especially considering there are very easy ways to make Epic ships calculate. You can use the teams that link into calculate actions. That seems to be the more pushed version of one of these ships on their secondary faction, so that's kind of cool. Apart from that, no real surprises here. We can see the command upgrade, one for each of these, so you can have that command crew upgrade. Now, we don't know how these command upgrades are going to work on other ships. We know, for example, you can have your wing cards, so your TIE Advance and a bunch of TIE Fighters, all that kind of stuff. We don't really have a full understanding of that. I'm guessing in the next points change, as this all is released, we're going to have a update on the points list for every other faction, and there'll be command slots. Maybe everything with a talent gets a command slot as well, but obviously command upgrades are only for Epic. I think that's what's going to happen here anyway. Let's scroll down here and take a look at some of these upgrades. Got some pretty cool stuff. First, having a look at cargo. Our most expensive one here is Adaptive Shield. While a friendly ship at range 0 to 1 defends, if it is a smaller size than you, in other words, it's not an epic ship, you may spend 1 shield or 2 energy to cancel 1 hit or crit result. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, there's a lot of agency just to do this over and over again. You can really blank a lot of your opponent's attacks. It is one of those sort of more feel-bad things in X-Wing, so I think FFG are really wanting to temper the power level of that. Also, second most expensive card is the Boosted Scanners. While you lock, coordinate, or jam, you may spend up to 3 energy to increase the range at which you can choose the object by 1 per energy spent to a max of 5. Again, this is the kind of thing that can get out of hand quite easily, especially with jamming up to range 4. That can do some quite busted things. The ceiling on this is very high, and I think that's the common theme we have here. These more expensive cards seem to have a really, really high ceiling. Taking a look at these command cards, our most expensive is Dreadnought Hunter. I am not surprised by this one little bit. It's already had its power level sort of tempered by making it a max 2 of in any list, but the amount of agency to take off epic ships, and this again is another feel bad thing. I mean, you don't want to spend however much money on an epic ship only to have them blown up constantly. Dreadnought Hunter is just one of those upgrades that I think FFG are going to be conservative about, because it really does sort of blank the one big thing, the one big draw of playing Epic, which is epic ships. Apart from that, we have Agent of the Empire, First Order Elite, and Veteran Wing Leader as our wing cards. Now, the Empire and First Order version of these cards allow you to field a command ship alongside a bunch of TIE Fighters, the Empire, the TIE Lens, and the First Order, obviously the TIE FOs. And in the case of Veteran Wing Leader, I don't have the image for it here. This hasn't been fully confirmed, but my understanding is that is the same version of those cards, except it must be all the same kind of ship. It makes sense that the TIE Fighter versions of those are a bit more expensive because you're saving a lot of points on those TIE Fighters. Plus, things like Agent of the Empire, you can shirk off damage to much cheaper ships. Having, for example, Vader alongside 5 TIE Fighters sounds really frustrating. I mean, it's basically a 4-point sort of selfless on 5 different ships. That sounds dumb. I can easily imagine this being more than 4 points, but again, it's something that we don't know a lot about, so I'm not going to pass judgment on that too harshly. Moving down to our commanders. Now, all of these are unique and faction specific, apart from Strategic Commander. Let's just bring that up over here. After a friendly ship at range 0 to 4 reveals its dial, you may spend 1 charge. If you do, it sets its dial to another maneuver of the same difficulty and speed, which is actually the same as Captain Nita, who is at 8 points. Now, we didn't actually have revealed how many charges he has just yet. It could be the same. It could just simply be a case of they're willing to give the Empire this kind of effect at a cheaper rate, which makes a lot of sense. It really plays into ace gameplay. Again, having it nice and expensive means that it does cap the power level. We're not going to have like dumb ace play in Epic across all the different factions. It is a real cost having to spend 10 points. Our most expensive commander, though, is Ramos Antilles. Let's just bring him up here. After you are destroyed, each friendly ship at range 0 to 1 gains a focus token after you are destroyed, and you are not removed until the end of the end phase. So this is pretty powerful. It is, again, it's kind of leaning back onto those feel-bads. You work really hard to blow up one of your opponent's epic ship. Well, guess what? They're going to alpha strike you in return. As a ceiling, again, I say it's a ceiling. It's not something you're going to do consistently, but Ramos Antilles essentially can do some pretty busted stuff. I mean, it's each friendly ship at range 0 to 1. I mean, there really is no ceiling on that. All of them getting a focus token means you can really empower their attacks and also give yourself one more attack. To be frank, I think that's well worth 12 points. That could easily go up. I mean, again, epic play. We don't really know what's going to happen in this game yet, but that strikes me as something that may even be a little bit undercosted, frankly. Okay, moving down, we just have the one configuration in Corsair Refit. Now, our Icy Rock Cruiser, here are all the stats for it. Here it has crew, bomb, gunner, illicit, title, tactical relay on the separatist, whatever, hardpoint, team, and cargo. But on Corsair Refit, you get the basic ordnance of cannon, turret, and missile, which is kind of interesting. It means it is able to take something like ordnance tubes, something at only 2 points, for example, and make really good use of it. So I'm curious about this. 15 points seems like a lot, but again, I want to reiterate, I'm interested in this with ion cannon turret because it's able to sort of catch the range 1 bubble around like your Icy Rock Cruiser or whatever and make sure your opponents don't sort of abuse that. So I don't hate that at all. Just jumping down to our hard points, and this is pretty much a case of the more damage it puts out, the more expensive it is. Pretty much what we should expect. The turbo laser battery, for example, is just range 3 to 5. You need a target lock, whatever. It's a 3 red dice attack, and if you hit, you add 3 more hits. 15 points feels absolutely reasonable to me. Next one down, point defense battery, the one that you can just dump all your energy in to have bang, 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 extra attacks for days. The targeting battery, similar to turbo laser, but you don't get the extra damage. You just get a target lock, which you can then use on a turbo laser if you have 2 hard points on a corvette or a raider. Ion cannon battery fires similarly to an ion cannon turret, but it's range 2 to 4, and you get a bit more damage on the back end. Ordnance tube only at 2 points. Now, we didn't actually have this properly revealed, but it looks like it's pretty much going to be the same as ordnance tubes from 1st edition, which allows you to fire missiles and torpedoes and not lose the charge on them in exchange for a hard. However, it is interesting firing missiles and torpedoes. It doesn't look like you can sort of rotate them as a turret like you can with these other hard points. But like proton torpedoes, in fact, does anything have torpedoes? Yeah, raiders, of course, raiders do. Basically, with that, you're looking at the raider with those torpedoes and missiles, or you're looking at the Icy Rock, which can then take missiles as well. And that's it. Nothing else has those kinds of ordnance. Also, just mentioning the ion cannon turrets, we also have turret upgrades on the medium transport. So I just want to quickly bring that up while we're talking about weapons. Something that I think is going to have a nice bit of value on both this ship and the Icy Rock, which is cool. It's not, the dumb big hard point kind of stuff, but I just like the idea of having ion control at range 1. I think that's going to be something that people are going to overlook a bit. Taking a look at the teams, our most expensive one is Sensor Experts. No surprises here. This is one of the teams that allows you to take a linked calculate. So I mentioned before the Icy Rock, they can take Kraken on the Separatists. Are going to be very interested in stuff like this. This allows you to take a target lock as well as a calculate, and you can maintain 3 different locks and then dump more energy to lock more things. If you've got a bunch of different hard points, especially the turbo laser, yep, this is a pretty big deal. This is definitely the kind of thing you want. And yeah, look, 10 points to really help you get those target locks beyond range 3. I mean, there's a few other things that can help you do that as well, but this one seems really solid. Also means you have the double modded attack with target lock calculate. I mean, 10 points, yep, that's completely fair enough. If not, it's too cheap, frankly. The gunnery specialists allow you to rotate your turret as well as calculate. Now, this only matters if you already have a weapon that can rotate, and while you perform a primary attack or a hardpoint attack, you may spend 1 or more energy to reroll that many dice. Yeah, that seems great, especially considering you have those calculates as well. you're essentially getting the same kind of double mod value as target lock and calculate or focus or whatever. When you look at improving dice mods, sort of like the reroll and the focus conversion together are always really, really powerful. Not the same as a focus token, but nevertheless, it's 8 points. It's passive. You'll do it all the time. It's not taxing your action economy because it's an extra action that you get to do for free as a white action. Yep, it's dumb. It's good. It's good. Also, the comms team, which adds coordinate to calculate and jam to calculate. And after you perform a coordinate action, you may spend up to 2 energy to coordinate that many additional ships at range 0 to 1 of the ship you just coordinated. That just seems really, really, really good for 8 points. I think this is really an upgrade slot that FFG are pushing. I mean, it's one of the epic only ship upgrade slots, so that makes a lot of sense. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if some of these went up in points. But again, look, epic and balancing and all that kind of stuff. I don't really have the authority to comment on that right now. All of these really expensive teams just look excellent, frankly. I think they're all going to do quite well. Our cheapest one is the IGRM droids. When you perform an attack, if you are calculating, you may change one hit to a crit result. So this is going to be handy on anything with 2 teams on it because the other teams allow you to take calculate actions quite easily. And again, Corvettes and Raiders. There is a reason there is a premium on those 2 ships. Also got all of our titles here. For some reason, there's a big tax on Luminous. Let's have a quick look at that one. Luminous, you are placed in reserve at the start of setup. At the end of setup, you are placed in the play area range 0 to 2 of a friendly ship. I made the comment that I'm not convinced that this is going to be a super high value thing, but maybe in playtesting FFG have found that doing that kind of stuff's really good. It seems odd. There are cards in the core game, like the Han Solo pilot on the Resistance, the Boba Fett crew card on the Scum faction that allow you to mess with the setup, and those don't really see a whole heap of play. So, I don't know, maybe doing that with epic ships is just way too pushed, but whatever. Apart from that, everything is sort of like the 8 points and below, so nothing's going to break the bank apart from all those kind of things. Again, I just want to reiterate, it's really those high ceiling kind of situations that FFG are trying to temper as best they can. They're trying to temper things that are going to really sort of just eviscerate your epic ships really quickly. And just try and make sure the games don't end too quickly. That's the impression I'm getting from everything here. The raw points cost of the ships themselves around the 150 or the 60 points. Having the Corvette and the Raider at like 2.5-ish times the cost of all the other epic ships seems about right. After looking at all of these points and the core stats of those ships, they definitely do look like they're going to perform better than those. They're going to be like those boogeyman ships that just dump out a lot of damage, but also act as a big cash cow and give you a huge incentive to engage with them. A lot of damage flying around the table. Yeah, I don't really have much more to say about this apart from it seems balanced from what I expected. It seems like the kind of designs FFG are pushing are relatively consistent across the board, and I very much look forward to playing Epic. Now, we also have a rules document that we're going to chat about in the next video, but for the meantime, don't forget to stay tuned. Please like and subscribe and comment down below. Tell us what you think of all of this kind of stuff. Don't forget to also like me on Facebook, Twitter. I've got a Reddit account, which is all detailed here on the screen for you. Please also consider supporting the channel's Patreon as well. This is a huge thing which is really helping push this forward, potentially give us the ability to one day do this full time and really push out the extra video content. But in the meantime, we also have a Patreon Discord where we discuss a lot of the content on this channel. I get a lot of feedback and can talk directly to a lot of you guys. So if you want to be involved with that, links are all down there in the description. And in the meantime, I will catch all of you in the next video.